Welcome back to Fak'd TV News and Unorthodox Sales. This is Gregory Higgins, and you are turned on and into the only real fake news that matters and the most innovative new products of this century. I'll be back with stories on what happens when the earth farts, how to revitalize sex-starved marriages, and a new term for living room. And with us tonight are our anchormen.
Mike Siri here, with the new Tide Pod Culinary Cookbook, Children's Letters to the President, the newest possible English word, and how reality is becoming non-existent.
And
Jeff Semperbond back with the new NRA airline safety guidelines, latest crooked politician competition, how connecting to nature could hamper your child's growth, and why politicians are bringing back dueling as a way to settle disputes.
And Mike, you will open us up with our first story.
Thank you, Greg. A new word for the dictionary. Overwhelming agreement has been put forward by a group of lexicographers for the need of the addition of a new word to the English language. But a problem has occurred in what may be the first time in history. The problem is that there is a clear and strong disagreement among top lexicographers on how this possible new additional word should be spelled. The new word causing this difficulty is huge, meaning that the speaker thinks the subject of the word is very large or important when it may in fact be quite modest in size or significance. Lexicographers in different factions have presented examples of online usage to support their preferred spelling, but so far no clear victor has emerged. Alternative spellings asserted include Y-O-U-G-E, Y-O-G-E, Y-O-O-G-E, H-O-U-J-E, H-O-U-G-E, or the Scandinavian J-O-O-G-E. A firm decision by the lexicographers is expected by the year 2020, but if no agreement can be reached, the expected possible new word may be completely discarded, albeit in a non-huge fashion.
Ooh, I would go with the huge, just the Scandinavian spelling. I would believe would be.
I believe so.
If they are going to go along with it.
I believe.
Sounds like a huge debate among the lexicographers.
And
bitter factions.
I believe Donald Trump has used that term, but Stormy Daniels has another term for the way he's describing it, but nevertheless.
Somehow I doubt she used huge or any synonym.
Absolutely, but yeah.
that. Anyway, Jeff, you're going to tell us how to be safe on the airline today. That'll help us all.
In one of the less covered stories from the NRA's convention in May, the NRA has issued a statement urging lawmakers to relax TSA rules and allows passengers to carry loaded guns on board aircraft when they travel. NRA Executive Vice President Wayne LaPierre claimed the rule change is necessary to allow passengers to defend themselves, pointing to the passenger death in April on a Southwest Airlines flight. In that incident, a CFM56 jet engine failed, causing a broken turbine fan blade to shoot into the body of the 737, killing the passenger and injuring 7 others. Mr. LaPierre said, "The threat isn't just from bad guys with guns anymore. If anyone or anything is shooting at people, the only thing that can stop them is a good guy with a gun returning fire." Asked by incredulous reporters at the press conference whether the NRA supports passengers carrying assault weapons on board, LaPierre replied, "Of course not. Let's not be ridiculous. An assault weapon is too unwieldy in the confined space of a passenger cabin. Passengers should arm themselves with a relatively hard-hitting, high-capacity pistol, such as the 10mm Glock 20. Let me be clear. Every incident so far of an aircraft engine shooting debris at passengers has happened in a gun-free zone where passengers were disarmed. Allowing passengers to exercise their God-given Second Amendment rights while flying will serve as a deterrent to rogue jet engines and help assure greater safety and security for all passengers.
That's a great idea to never be disarmed. You know, those Glock 20, that sounds like a handy thing to have with you.
Without a doubt.
15
Without a
rounds
doubt.
of 10 millimeter power,
I guess
which
that's-
will give those jet engines something to think about before they decide to start shooting up an airplane.
Yeah, okay.
Strong
doubt about
deterrent
it.
effect.
It's not blow too many holes in the airplane. Anyway, I got the next story about geophysical flatulence. The residents of Hawaii are suffering from the effects of living in the immediate vicinity of one of the Earth's natural blowhole areas. The planet is very old and has been floating around in space for an estimated 5 billion years. I don't know who came up with that number. And as with any living organism, eventually it has to relieve itself in one way or another. The Earth has been able to hold on to gas for a nearly unlimited length of time, but not entirely unlimited. Unfortunately, for the citizens of Hawaii, they are the ones that are suffering from the planet's terribly upset stomach that belches out toxic gas while suffering from 1,000-degree home-burning, road-melting, flame-throwing diarrhea topped with the most humongous hemorrhoids that can never be cured with any amount of preparation H. And I got the feeling that Mike has an interesting comment on this story.
Well, I mean, if you go to Buffalo, New York, and get their extra hot wings, that's a pretty good description of what will happen to you as well. And that's happening to the entire Earth. So, I mean, this is a major story.
Buffalo, New York, where buffalo wings
Yes.
are named for.
That is correct.
All right.
With our nation's capital reeling in controversy and a national debt of over $20 trillion, Betsy DeVos has used this as an opportunity for our nation's schools to encourage children to pen correspondence to President Trump with suggestions on how to improve our current state of affairs. Ms. DeVos stated, "What we need most is out-of-the-box thinking that offers creative thought and also gives our nation a litmus test of just how the youngest of our citizens feel about our beloved leader." When questioned as to the timing of these letters, while many of our schools are preparing for the annual testing cycle, the secretary asked, "Don't any of you remember having to take 2 tests in one day? These are the things that set America apart from the rest of the world." At Fak'd TV News, we were able to acquire 3 of these letters. The first is from a 3rd grader from El Paso, Texas, Billy the Kid Beecham. He writes, "Dear Mr. Trump, I wish you could hurry up and build that wall. A lot of the kids in my school are looking for summer jobs, and it would be real nice if we could start in on it. We need some money to stock up on guns since the commies on the left are going to try to take them away from us any day now. Whether the Mohicans, sorry, darn spell check, Mexicans pay for it or not, we here in the Like Me state sure would like to be a part of it." Next, we have a 7th grader from Denver, Colorado, Missy Albertson. And she writes, "Yo, DT, I think you should come to Colorado and just chill out. The local greens are some of the best, and I think you'd like them with your overdone steak. Bring Melania with you, and you know you should really treat her nicer. Maybe buy her a car or something. I mean, it's not like you can't afford it." But our favorite letter is from Mikhail Gosputov, a high schooler from Adak, Alaska, who has some very positive things to say about the president. "Dear comrade, I think you are the best president ever. The country is going in the right direction, and we will, once again, be the prominent force in the world. As I look out the window and watch the icebergs floating away, I'm reminded of the words of one of our past presidents who said, 'Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.' I know he was a liberal, but I think it's time we all did just that. Thank you for being our president. P.S. Uncle Vladimir says Strutsoy. It will be interesting to see if Mr. Trump responds to these letters, and if so, how he responds. If he does, we'll have those responses on Fak'd TV News.
Hey, thank you, Mike. And out-of-the-box thinking has set this country apart from the rest of the world until now that so many
Definitely.
people are being locked up in the boxes again.
And for sure, and, from the mouths of babes. I mean, these are words that we can all live by.
No, ring true.
At least those who can write.
They ring true except when they're said by crooked politicians. They're
This is
ringing
true.
kind of crooked. And, Jeff, you got our next story. Let's straighten this
America and Russia have long been in competition. We've had a space race and an arms race, both of which have been won by American greatness. Now we're in a race to see whose leader can be the best at consolidating power and generating loyal support while distracting the public from the actual problems the country faces. A compliant media is one key element, and Russia may be ahead in this regard, as Putin has been able to tightly control the media in his country, while President Trump has to rely on voluntary aid by a segment of the media, while another large segment is unfortunately free to criticize him, unhampered by fears of being executed by secret security forces. And in the element of graft and corruption, it appears so far to be an even match, with the governments of both countries largely in the hands of plutocrats who craft policy to enrich themselves at the expense of the public. However, Americans should take comfort that we are well ahead in distracting the public attention away from the economic and infrastructure problems by blaming others rather than those who control government for our problems. Russia is forced to place blame basically on one enemy, the West, under the control and influence of America. While here in America, we have a wide range of foreigners to blame. With such a broad range of targets for criticism, we have the ability to focus our wrath on particular groups to suit the issue at hand. Low wages can be blamed on Chinese trade manipulation and illegal immigrants stealing our jobs. Security concerns can be blamed on Islamic terrorists, MS-13 gang members, and North Korea. President Trump's genius in developing a wide range of scapegoats is shown clearly in his decision not to criticize Russia itself, showing that we are so far ahead of them in distracting the public, we don't even have to focus their ire on our primary adversary in this competition. That's a show of American superiority right there.
We are so superior.
We are number one.
In what? No. In crooked competition. In the crooked competition, you mean? That's what we're number one in. Yeah, we got the crookedest politicians in the world. Though. No, I think that they're crooked everywhere, aren't they?
Well,
We're just trying to top them.
it depends how you define crooked.
Sometimes I get lost in these stories and I don't know where I don't pay close enough attention. That's my problem, you know? I'm not in touch with them.
Fortunately, they get put up on Facebook and on the website so you can watch them again.
I'll have to
That's
do
right.
that. I'll have to go on Facebook and see these things all over again. So maybe I'll be able to pick up on what's going on in the world one of these days, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'll have some real news instead of fake news, you know? And it's possible.
Worth a shot.
Maybe even I'll get an education or something like that. You know, go to school. That would be a great idea.
Oh, this looks like a very real piece of news coming up.
Oh, yes, it is. This story is about cold married couples. Do you think, or maybe even feel certain, that you've been married too long and the thought of possibly having to have sex with your spouse gets you feeling down and distresses you deeply? Perhaps you spend way too much time rethinking the reason why you got married in the first place. It is possible that the actual reason why you got married in the first place, although you might hate to admit it, was because the thought that having a steady sex partner would be a great thing. Well, now that the urge and desire to have sex is many years past, and the light of that spark that was once there is totally gone, there is a solution that can ignite that spark again. Thanks to a new treatment program developed here at Fak'd TV Laboratories. The cure that can instantly and immediately reignite that spark is now available through time-tested and reinstated electroshock therapy. That's it. This is the time to electrify your sex life with electroshock therapy, where electronics are connected between your genitalia and the limbic lobe of your brain while inhaling prime marijuana smoke through a gas mask. Applying the appropriate amperage to your system along with the marijuana will stimulate your system back to the vigor of your youth. Love is alive again with the reinstatement of retired technology. The memories of the most recent passionless years can be completely erased and filled with new memories of passion-filled, wild sexual experiences. So call now! And if your loved one and if you and your loved one are ready for your new life of love, passion, and romance, you can sign up today for your first session. Lie down side by side at Oh No Co Love Laboratories and give a jump start to your long lost sex life today.
What's that warning thing in fine print about possible cardiac fibrillation and arrest?
That's not important, and it's only available for a small additional charge. Get it? Charge? Just remember to recharge your love life today at Oh No Co Love Laboratories. The small print will take care of itself.
I have one concern about that. I mean, this sounds great. I mean, it really does. But if there's marijuana involved, I usually get really hungry afterwards, so I'm told. So do you think my wife would object if I had like a sandwich on the dresser?
It's a great idea. What do you like?
One way to
Pastrami
find
with
out.
the mustard is like
Yeah,
one of my
you know,
favorite. Corned beef.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Okay.
Reuben.
Okay.
No, we should maybe make a note
Maybe
to
even some French fries.
That'll work. That'll work.
talk to the labs about starting a line of snacks specifically designed to go along with this treatment to sort of enhance your performance and stamina. And, yeah.
I like
You know,
enhanced performance all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
And
keep
everything.
it themed, like
Everything I do.
eclairs, sticks of pepperoni.
And Mike, you're going to have to enhance your performance on this next story. Get it moving.
Well, who doesn't like a good meal? God knows I do. Sitting down to a nice home-cooked dinner with your family at the end of a long day is one of life's simple pleasures that we, as Americans, look forward to. Unfortunately, however, adult tastes don't always mix well with children's, and families often find themselves resorting to the vicious cycle of pizza, burgers, and Chinese takeout. This is especially the case when those children become teenagers and mealtimes frequently become strained and unpleasant. Now, gourmet chefs Patsy Primavera and Vernon Schnitzel may have a solution to your dilemma. They've recently collaborated on a new cookbook which tries to blend the tastes of adult and teenager. This new book, titled Time and Tide Pods, contains simple recipes, many of which can be prepared in 30 minutes or less, which offer taste sensations to tickle even the most particular of palates. Chefs Primavera and Schnitzel use some of these recipes in their restaurants, Wretched Abandon and Brown Water, both of which are located in downtown Flint, Michigan, right across from the sewage treatment plant. Patrons have particularly enjoyed these favorites, both available at their restaurants. Herb-encrusted cod pod, in which a cod loin is simmered in a pod with assorted herbs and spices, giving it a rich Caribbean flavor, and chicken pod puree, a fusion of French, Asian, and your favorite supermarket's laundry aisle. And lest we forget to mention it, there are succulent dessert recipes as well. My personal favorite is the chocolate lava pod cake, in which a gooey mix of chocolate and detergent ooze out of a spongy coconut crust, all topped with a scoop of vanilla ice cream flavored with bleach. So don't waste another minute. Pick up a copy of this new cookbook. I'm sure it will become a favorite on your culinary shelf. And if you mention Fact 8 TV News at the bookstore, you'll receive a free copy of Internal Medicine for Dummies. Tide Pods, a new way to experience dinner. And apparently this just in, the chefs are collaborating on the next book, Podluck Colorado CBD Cuisine. Do in your favorite bookstore, well, whenever.
I bet that stuff will really clean out your system.
Oh,
really
for
good.
sure, yeah, you know.
Top to bottom.
I know.
You'll be shining on the
Give those
inside.
buffalo wings some competition.
Definitely.
Okay. Now, Jeff, you know a little bit something about nature. Why don't you tell our viewers about it?
Yes, with summer here and more people spending time outdoors, researchers are warning parents of the possible health risks of allowing children to interact with nature. Health experts have long known that outdoor activities such as gardening, hiking, camping, and similar activities bring children into contact with unhygienic conditions, greatly increasing their exposure to germs. But recent research shows that exposure to the natural world may also have adverse effects on children's brains that have not been previously noticed. In the soon-to-be published study, researchers found a significant drop in children's attention span when focusing on media screens after exposure to nature. In one study, children who were exposed to an hour or more of gardening were seen to show a drop in interest in social media, online videos, and games. In another disturbing study, children who had gone for a hike in the woods within the last week showed a dramatically decreased interest in news coverage of celebrities, as well as reduced stress levels that researchers fear may be a sign of developing apathy toward high-profile conflicts reported in the news. As parents are well aware, digital literacy is an important skill for the world of tomorrow, and this research suggests that exposing children to nature may impede their development, causing decreased enthusiasm for spending time online. Not only does the time spent outdoors directly take away from a child's screen time, but even after returning inside, children are reported to spend less time watching television or funny videos on YouTube. Researchers fear that this new digital divide may hamper these children's development and warn parents to use extreme caution if they insist on risking their children's future development by involving them in outdoor activities.
And you know, being outside and hiking is dangerous. Your kid could trip and hit his head on a rock and then spend their life in the hospital while you have to constantly be running back and forth to work in your hospital. It's a horror. Besides, you know, cookies and potato chips, they don't grow on trees. You can't find cans of soda just laying around in the woods somewhere.
And how many kids do you know that have ever gotten poison ivy in their house? Answer, none. Okay?
That's right.
You can watch poison ivy on a TV screen for hours, never itches.
You got
That's
it.
right. You got a point there.
Perfectly
totally
safe.
This is a big
correct.
one.
I can't believe it. People hiking nature. That
Yeah,
nature is a bunch of nonsense.
You got vampire ticks, attacking trout.
I mean, we got cable TV. We
hallucinogenic
got
frogs.
cable TV. You know, we got you.
right.
You got everything.
Terrible
Your whole
dangers.
world on Facebook. Gee,
Yeah.
why we have to go outside and smell the pollution and all that stuff out there? You know. Oh well. Anyway, I got our next story about the living room, or what it was once a living room, and architectural home decor and real estate news. A recent study from the Brattleboro University Department of Interior Design has found that the term living room is now being changed by many designers to reflect the reality of the activities that actually take place in the living room. If you're up to date with the reality of today, what in the past was a room in which a family and friends would join together to talk, play board games, build puzzles, and similar activities is now a room where family members stare at their individual screens, watching funny cat videos and tapping away as they text people with common interests that they actually want to interact with. Designers and other professionals are in disagreement over the new term that should be used. Real estate professionals prefer the term communal individual time room. emphasizing that it is a place where the family can ignore others altogether, while interior designers refer to it as the screen time room, emphasizing the importance of avoiding distractions such as colorful, attention grabbing artwork or lights positioned to cause glare. Architects refer to it as the ignore your friends and family room, and suggest that such rooms should be designed to accentuate privacy concerns, preferably with several books and alcoves that allow the residents to view their individual screens with a high degree of privacy while still sharing a space open to others doing the same. Regardless of the technology, the report assures us that the trend of configuring and decorating rooms to best suit the use by the family is just beginning, and we expect continued progress in the future of making sure that a family screen time is a pleasant and rewarding activity supported by an environment optimized for individual entertainment. And that's the way it should be. I don't want to deal with my friends and my family. Who wants to talk to their brothers and sisters, your mother, your father? Screw them. I'm sticking with my freaking my cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
Time with your family takes away from time with your friends.
That's an awful thing
Ask
to do.
any teenager.
And there is a question that Mike is going to ask everybody out there in the TV world.
All right, Greg, there certainly is. There's a question that we have to ask ourselves, and the question is, does reality still exist?
You're traveling through another dimension.
Because what we once viewed to be reality has now been changed into an alternative reality. Some of you who cling bitterly to outmoded definitions may have trouble understanding this new reality. So we here at Fak'd TV News have some definitions to bring you up to speed. The term good friend is now used and interpreted as a person that believes your lies, is easily taken advantage of, stolen from, used and discarded when their usefulness is no longer needed. The term history is now used when a person needs and uses their imagination to manipulate and create their own conception of history so that it can then be used to mislead people into believing in their own contrived reality of the past. The description of someone as very religious is now a term that's used to refer to a person or persons with strong views about people they don't like being liars, thieves, fornicators, or builders of houses of ill repute, but who invoke God's grace and forgiveness of sinners when people they like fall prey to similar temptations. The term successful businessman is used to define criminals that rob trusting customers, clients, or business partners as long as they get away with it. The term narcissist is a positive character attribute that one should look up to and hope to attain, as it confers a strong sense of personal image and a defiance of cultural norms that stifle free expression. The term fake news is used by people to distract when hearing the character deflating truth about themselves. The term believe me is a term commonly used by a con man that is setting you up. And the term a lot of money is determined by your income. If you make $10 a week in take-home pay, $20 is a lot of money. $50 a day may be a lot of money to pay to rent a DC condominium, but $43,000 is not a lot of money for a private phone booth. Now, the term he's a great guy means that you met him once or twice at a cocktail party, and the term we're going to take care of it could mean anything, but nobody really knows what it means other than that you shouldn't complain about it again, regardless of whether or not the problem appears to be fixed. The term incredible men and women means any person that wears a uniform, particularly when you're sending them off to do something you would never do yourself. The term billions and billions of dollars means, I don't know, but it's a lot of money. If that money is paying for something your side wants, it's called an investment. But if that money is paying for something your opponent wants, it's called wasteful spending. So there you have it. A few of the new facts in Fak'd TV news, keeping you up with the current trends.
Thank you, Mike, for those current trends. Now I know how
That's
to
right.
point myself in the right direction these days and take advantage of them. You know, I'll be successful one of these days if I follow your
That's right,
instructions.
And you'll make huge amounts of money, billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's a lot of money too. All right, Jeff, you're gonna.
Across the river, a new bill has been introduced into the New Hampshire state legislature, which is receiving bipartisan support, but where Democrats and Republicans are supporting the bill for different reasons. The bill, if passed, would permit dueling as a way for settling disputes. Duels would be to the death, but there appears to be some confusion as to the definition of death in the bill. A senator from Coos County, who prefers to remain anonymous, has asked for clarification on the definition. Are we talking no pulse or heartbeat, or do we mean strictly brain dead? If it's the former, there arises the question of who pays for the burial. If it's the latter, however, that creates more questions. Since many of our legislatures are already brain dead or close to it, what do we do with the losers of the duel? We put them on life support, or we simply give them a cabinet position, much like what's done in our nation's capital? While New Hampshire has to wrestle with these questions, there also remains the question of type of weapon, location of the duel, and most importantly, publicizing the outcome and ensuring that the victor sees justice. Republicans and libertarians assert that assault weapons should be the gun of choice, since as Americans, we need to promote and protect our beloved Second Amendment to its maximum potential. Many Democrats, however, feel that the weapons should be mutually agreed upon by the parties for each individual duel. There will need to be an inspection committee to ensure that the weapons of both parties are fully functional, so as to avoid misfires and accidental injury. As one congressman so aptly stated, if someone's going to be killed, let's make it intentional. We don't pussyfoot around up here. Yep. Others on the left feel that perhaps not all duels need to be to the death. Some disputes could be settled with the famous Frost Heave Challenge, where they settled the differences in a demolition derby on one of the state's many Class 6 roads. And of course, there's always the ever-popular "Why are you hitting yourself?" competition, infamous in many elementary schools. So if you have a disagreement with a coworker, neighbor, or even a family member, don't go to court, go to a gun show. Remember the dueler's creed: if you're still alive, you must have been right.
Yeah.
That settles that. That's pretty clear cut.
I think once people see how good it is in New Hampshire, it'll be spreading to other
That's right.
states.
And one thing I don't understand, if a politician gets into the cabinet and you don't like him, why don't you just lock the cabinet and keep him in there?
Yeah.
That'll work too.
Well, that's it for our show. This is Gregory Higgins, and I'd like to thank you for taking your time to watch our news tonight. So you guys at home, ladies and children of all ages, sizes, and colors and ethnicities, when the story is too good to wait for the facts, we at Fak'd TV News bring you the news as we see fit. May you all enjoy a good, clean life, and remember to be honest to the spirit that lives within you. Have a great day and a good night until next time. Mike, could you say good night?
I certainly could, and good night, viewers.
And Jeff, could you say good night?
I could, and I will. Good night.
Good night.